I want you guys to notice how every single thing Jimmy Kimmel says here is not just a lie, but the opposite of reality and the truth.
Market for a change. Nothing down other than the stock market for a change. Our
So this is a clip of Jimmy Kimmel going on an unhinged, loathsome attack on Elon Musk. This comes after Democrats have not only firebombed Tesla dealerships, but defended firebombing Tesla dealerships in no uncertain terms online, blatantly saying that it's good that this is Elon Musk's fault, they're firebombing Tesla dealerships, and after the president said these acts will be labeled domestic terrorism. Almost as if things have become so partisan that a large group of people have just completely turned off their brain and are operating outside of morality, outside their ability to function and reason, and are just going based on what will the other side hate the most. More on that later. I'll get back to the video.
Down other than the stock market for a change.
The very first thing Jimmy Kimmel says here is not true. The market is up 500 points today.
Our co-president, Elon Musk, sent a SpaceX vehicle to bring the astronauts back, and when they landed, he fired them immediately upon landing.
I get that he's trying to tell jokes here, but the jokes aren't landing, because what makes a joke funny is that it references an uncomfortable truth, except that this is referencing an uncomfortable anti-truth. The reality is that Elon Musk just saved NASA astronauts that were left on the International Space Station for 9 months, which, by the way, is far longer than they're meant to be there, scientifically speaking. It's not good for their bodies. And they were there because Biden refused to allow Elon to send up the capsule after the Boeing capsule malfunctioned.
Stock is way down, almost disastrously so.
Think of how deranged this is. Applause for a statement of Tesla stock is down. These people don't care about investing. They don't care about stock. They're driven by hate. And this is what you see from the Democrat Party. They've been beaten and refuted so badly that all they have left is to show with no filter how they're completely broken, deranged humans. And this is just objective at this point, who endorse violence, who are intolerant, who instead of self-reflecting like a normal person after being fed the accountability that was this historical refutation in the election, psychopathically revert to, I'm superior to everybody, I don't have to engage with ideas because my cult says I'm better than you. But pay attention to how everything he says is the opposite of the truth. Tesla stock still makes the company worth hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. People have been... It's almost as if they're applauding the concept of Tesla being valuable and a success. This is how you know they're indoctrinated into a cult. Because clean energy used to be a liberal value, dare I say used to? I mean, now we do have Sean Hannity ordering a Tesla Model S live on Fox News, but it was only a couple of years ago when that was like a main concern for the left, like global warming. It's almost as if these issues, not almost as if, actually these issues one by one have been going from left-wing values to conservative values. Free speech, going from a liberal value to a conservative value. Individual autonomy, going from liberal value from 20 years ago, conservative value now. Smarter spending in government used to be a liberal value maybe 40 years ago, not 20 years ago, more like 40 years ago. Now, I mean, if you look at the speeches from Kennedy and Obama, they were saying we need to cut spending. Now, it's all of a sudden the conservative value. Back to the inversion, man, here.
Vandalizing Tesla vehicles, new Tesla vehicles, please.
This is really psychopathic here.
Please don't vandalize. Don't ever vandalize Tesla vehicles. And so,
Bro, what is wrong with this guy? Actually, what type of world are we living in where you're even implying that it's okay to vandalize other people's property based on your political belief? This is how insane the left has become. Look, I mean, you need to look no further than this video here to see their psychopathy on display. He believes he's a good person. Think about this. The left believes they're good people while saying it's okay to vandalize other people's property because you think you're better than them. That is the message here.
Vehicles. And so, Elon.
So he's clearly saying here that he doesn't mind if you vandalize other people's property based on your political opinions. Could you imagine if they did this on Fox News? Could you imagine if someone implied, a prominent person on the right implied that it's okay to commit violence against a Democrat because of what they think? It's beyond, this is beyond absurd, but this is the inevitable outcome. This is what happens when The left only believes in power, and they do only believe in power, not relative merit on the level of people or on the matter of ideas, which is how they justify their relentless, anti-human, heartless approach to demonizing world innovator and genius Elon Musk. But they are, in fact, willing to sacrifice humanity's thriving and future perversely enough as a happy accident. Because the resentment, as we've seen for humanity's success, is beyond comprehension, given that success is a measurement of reality and virtue instead of their ideology. I'll say that again. Success, as it is derivative of objective reality and virtue, instead of their ideology, is untenable to them. This is a very disturbing video, because it's like mainstream leftist ideas. Like we're looking at how they actually think. This is their version of entertainment. Oh, haha, isn't it cool to vandalize other people's property and commit terrorism, literal terrorism? They haven't reflected, they haven't become better humans. They haven't taken into account the fact that they were defeated in a historical margin, which is what a normal person would do if you're not a psychopath. You take in the feedback from other people because you live in a society. They've just said, no, we're superior despite being at sub 30% approval rating. I mean, it's almost as if we're witnessing the collapse of a nation, except it's a collapse of an ideology. It's like we're witnessing the collapse of the USSR. Just total denial about, oh, communism is a success. And then it just collapses. We've seen the collapse insofar as the charade of the popular ones has gone away. We know they're not the popular ones because they lost and because the approval rating is low. But all that's done is expose how actually psychopathic they were the entire time, because they never cared about even being the majority. They just care about claiming superiority. The left just cares about claiming superiority. And if you want to see objective evidence of that, go check out the video I released last where I show people cheering on a man for assaulting a woman wearing a MAGA hat. These people are disturbed.
Elon Musk has been making the rounds in the right-wing media to try to appear to be a human being.
Right-wing media. This is so...
Yesterday.
And trying to be a human being. This is so bizarre. No, Elon Musk is a human being. And your attempt to say he's not is evil. It is as evil as anything a person's ever done before.
To be a human being. Yesterday,
I mean, what is this? The German right? This is the type of entertainment they would have.
He was guest of honor on the Ted Cruz podcast.
So first of all, Elon Musk owns X, which is media, and the #1 media in 140 countries. It's almost as if they don't want to acknowledge objective reality. Like, you're the ones without media. You're the ones who aren't engaging in balanced media. What you're doing now is not balanced media at all. Balanced media is free speech, but they've left free speech behind years and years ago, so they're just completely divorced with reality.
Elon Musk has been making the rounds in the right-wing media to try to appear to be a human being. Yesterday,
So X isn't right-wing media, by the way. That's just media. That's what free speech is. But anyone engaging in free speech is right-wing, I guess, to the left.
He was guest of honor on the Ted Cruz podcast, where Sweaty Teddy, who seemed...
So another dehumanizing term of Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz seems everything he knows about technology.
It's obviously they're not good people, but it's even more disturbing to hear them laughing and celebrating in this echo chamber of theirs about how the people they disagree with are subhuman.
He seems to come from movies he's seen. Ted asked Elon a question about the dangers of AI.
Is Skynet real? Like you get the apocalyptic visions of AI.
So that's actually a very reasonable question, given that it is literal news that OpenAI tried to copy and clone itself. And one of the greatest threats facing humanity is objectively AI now. Artificial intelligence is not a joke. And if you don't understand that, you're behind the curve. It's not Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz is referencing a movie which references this problem. But what they're trying to do is they're just trying to mock Ted Cruz and say that he's dumb when in fact he's asking a good question to the world's smartest man. But the left doesn't believe, again, in meritocracy. They don't believe in smartness. They only believe in allegiance to their ideology. They don't believe in virtue. Virtue in someone's intelligence, as far as they're concerned, and not really as far as they're concerned, because they are aware that reality exists and judges them, but as far as they'll admit most of the time, only comes from indoctrination into their cult, nothing else.
How real is the prospect of killer robots annihilating humanity?
20% likely. Maybe.
See, the world's smartest man literally answers the question because it was a good question, and with a real answer, 20%.
10%.
On what time frame?
Like the people laughing are which parts you find funny? Humanity dying from robots, the existential threat of AI being mishandled, or the fact that you think you're superior while having created nothing in your life and having done nothing except indoctrinate yourself into a cult which tells you you're a superior person to a man who parallel parks revolutionary rockets on a monthly basis. Which is it?
5 to 10 years.
He's going to try to get that down to 3, but
No, actually, Elon Musk is working to decrease the existential threat of AI, which is the whole reason he founded OpenAI and later did Grok. Again, comedy is supposed to reference an uncomfortable truth. In fact, this is referencing, as I said earlier, a rather uncomfortable anti-truth. Leftists live in an artificial reality of anti-truth because truth and objective reality, as it judges them inevitably, is too uncomfortable, not just because it shows that they're wrong, but because it shows that they're fraudulent in all of their aspects of functioning.
off topic, but Ted looks great, doesn't he? I mean, he looks like he got killed by a robot 5 to 10 years ago. I just want you to know what you just saw.
So the takeaway from that is that Ted Cruz is fat? Is that what you're trying to say? I mean, you're no bodybuilder yourself.
Was a sitting United States senator asking the actual Terminator about the movie.
The actual Terminator? No, he's the opposite of the Terminator because he's trying to, again, decrease the probability of AI going wrong. That's like one of his most serious concerns. Leftists are living in a very dangerous cult because it's not just, they don't just believe false things, which is serious enough. That's a very big problem. But they believe they're superior as a result of believing wrong things. So when you try to correct them, their response is, I'm superior to you, rather than I should engage in reality. This is the mark of a psychopath in a ideologically induced format. And it means that the antidote to being wrong, which is always truth, is labeled oppressive and unacceptable to them. In the same way, of course, they demonize objective impressiveness.
Terminator, which he says is about to come true. We also got an update on that.
Is this what it's like to live as a leftist? I mean, it must be very painful. But what we've seen over the last 2 decades is a complete inversion of the right versus left, because what you're witnessing is what the left used to make fun of. They used to make fun of the right's inability to exist in reality and exist in the popular culture. But now that they've taken over the popular culture because the left has given up everything, they've given up clean energy, they've given up free speech, they've given up logic, reason, rationality, they've given up science. All they have is, you're a bad person unless you're part of my cult, and then this is what they're reduced to. And they reduce themselves to this. But they're going to claim victimhood all the way down to the bottom of the pit while being completely meritless, virtueless people. Fat, overweight, can barely get out of bed, have accomplished nothing, and they blame the world's most impressive men for the reason why they're failures. But the left doesn't believe in individual accountability. So, of course, why wouldn't they blame Elon Musk for the reason they can't succeed?
I just want you to know what you just saw was a sitting United States senator asking the actual Terminator about the movie Terminator.
You're much more like a Terminator than Elon Musk, Jimmy Kimmel, because everything you say is the opposite of the truth and deliberately designed to be that way so that you can pretend to be superior. That's much more like what the actual Terminator was like. And what's more is that was created by a virus that possesses you, a virus that holds ultimate resentment for truth and reality. So you're basically like a walking zombie of anti-truth. Everything you say is inverted. Everything you say is the opposite of good and righteous.
Which he says is about to come true. We also got an update on that war in Ukraine Trump promised.
Like, did the audience not even hear him endorse vandalism at the beginning of this? And like, what is going on with the left? The left is endorsing vandalism, left is endorsing violence. This is exactly what happened in Germany in the 1940s. It's exactly what happened. It's what happened in Maoist China. This is what communism does. We have to be very worried about the dehumanization that is happening by people on the left, instead of them contending with the humanity, which comes first, and you'd think they'd be able to do, but all they've been operating from is lies. So we can see clearly they never cared about people's humanity, probably even going back decades. And it makes sense when you realize, of course, that the people who voted against ending Jim Crow were all Democrats. You probably didn't know that. A lot of people don't know that the Democrats were the ones opposed to ending Jim Crow segregation, but they've never been pro-humanity. But if you can't even recognize someone's humanity, if you endorse violence against them because they're worse than you, then how can you ever hope to engage with things as relatively abstract as using logic or reason? Because those things are vetting ideas based on their intrinsic merit and internal coherence, because those things require you to take the words of other people seriously and believe on a presuppositional basis that they are made in the image of God, that they are ultimately valuable, and therefore the things they have to say are valuable. But the left doesn't believe any of that, and they never have. This is disturbing. This is evil. And that's how they do things like this. In Orwell, he said they would call peace war and freedom slavery. And so as they commit terrorism, they call it peaceful. As they're the most hateful, uninclusive people on the planet, they call themselves tolerant and inclusive. They invert reality. This is what resentment for truth does. It's resentment for reality. Subscribe to the channel.